and welcome to the IGPX podcast number 25. I'm here with Jose Argumedo, who is a producer for the IGPX DVD box set. Thanks, Jose, for joining me for this interview.
Hey, thanks for having me. I have been using your site a lot for resources, so it's a pleasure.
It's always awesome to hear that people are actually using the site, and especially you, because I was following you a little bit with Toonami Faithful podcast, and I always liked what you had to say. So I'm glad to hear that you were using the site as well.
Yeah, it has been really useful, not only on the Toonami Faithful podcast, but for this release. Like, the first you're the first site I go to when I have to look up an episode title because I'm like, oh crap, what is this thing called again? I think I might know them now all by heart. At least all the Toonami ones. I know episode 4 has like a different title, which is weird.
It's like
it's something like the Cat Emperor thing. Anyways.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into this. I've got a few questions pertaining to your involvement with the project, and I know that you answered some of them on the Tumblr, but we might be able to clarify some.
Sure.
So the first thing is, generally, I wanted to know how you got involved in the project.
Well, I started in November with everybody else when I heard that Discotek had the rights to the show. I found out just like everybody else did from their Facebook page, and immediately I had like 20 million questions. I really wanted to know everything about this thing because I'm a huge fan of it, and you know, I don't know what kind of gave me the idea to like go for it, and I was just like, well, I mean, I've always said I would work on it. Like I said it on the podcast, the Toonami Faithful podcast I used to host. They're like, oh, I'd work on it for free and do all this stuff, and I'm like, well, I don't know, maybe that can actually happen. I don't know anybody at Discotek, but let me send an email off, see what happens. And I heard nothing back. Let me go back a bit. And around December when I got back to Atlanta, I spoke to Jason about the IGPX DVD, asked him a bunch of questions about it, see what he knew. And other than asking him permission, Discotek basically was kind of radio silent. They didn't talk to him.
Huh, okay.
And I presented this whole pitch to him too, and I was like, I want to do this and this and this and this, and I was like, about half the things I'll probably be able to do, but I made a really long list of stuff, including a 16:9 version of the Toonami cut with my own DVDs. I made that, and I presented it to Jason. He was on board, and they were like, yeah, but we're not talking to anybody, so you need to talk to Discotek. And emailed Discotek, heard nothing. So I'm like, well, I guess that's the end of that project. I guess I'm not going to be working on it. And a friend of mine named Corey, who's a storyboard artist on shows such as Archer and Family Guy and China, Illinois, he knew somebody named Brady who has done freelance work for Discotek, and he put me in contact with him. And so Brady and I spoke for a good while, about IGPX, and I showed him I was a big fan and that I had done all this stuff, and I worked for Turner Broadcasting. For those that don't know, I do work for Turner Broadcasting.
Right.
And I'm on very good terms with everybody at Adult Swim. So, it would be pretty easy for me to just walk in there and get materials when I need it, or, maybe get things when I would need them, on a case-by-case basis. And he was kind of on board with it, and then I kind of heard nothing after that. He kind of disappeared. I know why he disappeared, but basically it was crunch time for him on the Castle Cagliostro Blu-ray, so I didn't hear from him again. And kind of just push the issue with Discotek and show people I was serious about it. I scheduled an interview with Jason DeMarco and Sarah Hardy, and went to Adult Swim rather. And recorded 2 interviews with them and cut them together pretty roughly. I had some brand new equipment that I'd never used before, and that was a lot of fun. It was an excuse to go buy that stuff.
Yeah.
And I cut together very roughly these 2 interviews, and I sent them over to Brady. I heard nothing, and I'm like, crap. I guess that's the end of my involvement again, and I'm trying to go through the Rolodex of people in my head. I'm like, oh, who do I know who worked on this show or works at Discotek, or maybe has done freelance work? And I remember I've spoken to Justin Savakis before, and I know he doesn't remember me, but he's a host on Ancast. But I've spoken to him before, and I have his email, so I was like, let me reach out to him, see if he will, see if he's working on it, or if he can put me in contact with somebody. He's not working on it, but he put me in contact with the guy who runs Discotek, and we spoke for a bit, and he was like, "Yeah, absolutely, I love all of your ideas. Let's do them all." And uh, and at first I didn't think he was serious, but he was like on board. The big one that he was on board with was the remastered Toonami version. That was the one that I pushed really hard for, more than anything. I was like, I really want this thing to be in 16:9. It makes no sense that we're
Right.
letterboxing this thing constantly. So that was kind of the beginning of my involvement on the project, and I've been working on it diligently ever since. And that was around in March. So it is now September, and we are getting very close to, on my end at the very least, very close to finishing up what I need to do.
Awesome. And so going on that, I'd like to clarify the contents of the Toonami version since that's what you worked on. So
Well, I
is
worked
it
on
the
all three. Actually,
Oh,
so
did
let
you?
me clear that up right now. I worked on all
Yeah.
three versions. And by all three versions, I mean the original Japanese version, the English dub of that Japanese version, and the original broadcast version that aired in the U.S. So I've worked on all three of those. But specifically in the Toonami version, because we don't have the previous Bandai DVD was not an anamorphic widescreen, and we want to change that. So we are now making the Toonami version into anamorphic widescreen. We're not cropping anything. We are presenting it in the way technically it probably should have been seen the whole time.
Okay, and that's exactly what I was going to ask about the original cut, because that had bothered me as well whenever I put it in. It's like now I've got like the two, because my computer's telling me or my DVD player's telling me to like put it in this certain format, but I don't want to stretch it, obviously. So I'm so excited about this release.
That's how it aired on Toonami. They stretched it because the big reason why they had it in 4:3, why I think Bandai kept it in 4:3 and didn't change it, was because the opening, the previously on, and the logos and a couple of other things, they all are in 4:3, and they have stuff in the upper and lower parts of the screen. So that would be a bad thing to cut all that off. So they technically did the right thing, I think. And I might have been asking too much from Bandai of 2005, 2006, but I think you could have made the actual episode content anamorphic widescreen and just switch them back and forth. What we're doing is we're basically doing that. We are keeping the 4:3 content. However, we are adding borders to the sides so that it looks a little more presentable on your 16:9 television. But I guess we can go into that a little bit later when we get to the remaster process.
Right. So to clarify what you said a minute ago, so what did you do for the original Japanese and the English sub of that? Like what part of that did you change or work on?
Well, we didn't change anything of those. I want to be clear about that. We didn't change anything, but what we did was we retransferred everything from tape into a much higher quality format. So we went back to the old digibetas and we retransferred everything into the highest quality we possibly could. And we are re-encoding those so that the bit rates on all the videos are going to look better than what they did on the previous Bandai release.
Okay. And so it sounds like from a consumer perspective, most of this is seamless in the regards of they're going to be experiencing the IGPX that they knew and love from both the uncut versions and the Toonami side, and they're also experiencing it in the best formatting possible. Is that a good way of saying it?
We are basically trying to present it the best way possible. Yes. So we are, and I thought I was a stickler for video quality. Brady is a big stickler for video quality. Oh, everybody at Discotek, they have some of the best encoders in the business. Frankly, they have guys who really, really care, and I'm very glad to be working with them. They are going above and beyond, and even I thought I was really like kind of like really, picky about stuff. Those guys really are very, very picky about video quality. So, yeah, man, this is going to look really, really good. It's at least going to look better than the previous Bondi DVD. Not that that one looks bad. It just, we have better encoding tools today than we did so many years ago. And
Right.
We are packing the discs as much as possible. And don't quote me on this because I don't know for sure. I think we're going to put all the extra features onto one disc and the other ones are just going to be the episodes, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, and do you know? So then, do you know if will it be several discs? Like how many episodes will be per disc? Do you kind of know how that's going to work out?
If I remember correctly, it's going to be about 5 per disc.
Okay.
So this is going to be a pretty big set because we have ultimately 52 episodes to do.
Right.
Because we are not doing seamless branching. That was something I pitched and was immediately shot down because that would make the video quality worse. Plus, that's really hard to do. Like, I would have to know the show really well, and we don't have those EDLs anymore, so that's not going to happen.
Seamless branching, to clarify, you mean like you could switch between the angles or whatever it's called?
So basically, like, for those of you that maybe know, maybe bought the Lord of the Rings DVDs with the extended editions and the theatrical cuts on the same disc, what they do is they basically, on your DVD player, there's like markers to tell it, okay, you play this video track because we're watching the extended version. When you switch to theatrical, it's like, no, now you play this video track because we're playing the theatrical version now. So,
okay.
And then it kind of like weaves them back and forth to like make them. So like it's using the same video for certain segments, and it's supposed to save space, but I guess it doesn't. I don't know what the deal with that is. I'm very new to DVD as a format. I thought I knew everything about it, but I'm like, oh man, I'm getting schooled. And Blu-ray is way more complicated, man. Blu-ray, thank God we're not doing that. Well, not thank God, but man, that would take a lot more time.
Yeah. Even as the guy that made like this huge fan site, I think there's 2 episodes specifically in the second season that I was less familiar with, or for whatever reason, and I couldn't get the exact timing on when those cuts were made. I swear it looked like 5 times, and there's 1 or 2 episodes where I'm like, I know it's in the second. You might have noticed on the website for all the listeners. I know it's in the second half, guys. It's kind of what I wrote down. I can't tell where, because Toonami did such a great job at like just cutting out kind of the long pauses, and like they did a really good job of pacing it well for their cut of the show. And so when Jason said, you probably don't notice most of them. Yeah, obviously there's some that you might notice when you go back to the uncut, but there are some that I really have not noticed, and it's really quite impressive work on their part.
Yeah, when I was doing the because I remember when I was pitching this and I did the uncut version video from the Bondi DVDs, and I synced it up to the Toonami audio from the other Bondi set. Trying to sync that up was really difficult. That took a lot of like just to do a crappy pitch was very difficult. And originally when we were doing the remaster process, I guess we can get into this now. Originally when we were doing the remaster process, that's kind of what we were going to end up doing it, because I think that's all we had. We didn't have, or at least what was sent to me was just DVD encodes. That's all that Discotek had sent me at the time, because I guess we just didn't know we didn't know what materials we had. I had no idea. Selby's in Florida, I'm in Atlanta, Brady's in Baltimore, so we're all kind of spread out, and we're like, we don't know who has what all the time.
Yeah.
And what happened was, so he sent me the DVD encode video, and I was like, oh, I guess we can just use this. And I was trying to sync it up, and I'm like, this is really hard. This is going to take me a lot longer than I thought. So, and luckily, Toonami, or rather William Street, had given me the broadcast masters from the most recent airing of IGPX, which meant it was upscaled to 1080i and stretched out. That's what they gave me. And Brady and I both noticed that these looked way better than the DVD encodes. So we're like, hey, maybe we should just use these and save ourselves a ton of time and not have to edit these again. Because you're right, a lot of the pauses are like literally a couple of frames. Like,
Yeah.
they would take out just like a couple of frames so that the cut would come quicker, and that's really difficult to spot, especially in animation, because there's not as much movement. You can kind of hide that.
Yeah.
And so we're going through this thing, and we notice that the version that we have, because the interlacing is wrong, it's supposed to be lower first. Not to get super technical. Basically, the interlacing was wrong on the HD versions, the HD upscales that William Street had given us. So we had to basically ask William Street for the tapes, the actual original tapes. And I was like, they're not going to give those to me. And they did.
Awesome.
But basically the condition was I have to capture them myself. So that was a lot of late nights over at CNN where I work. Not during my work hours. I would just go in and use their tape decks, and since it was a Turner show, nobody minded. And it was for a Turner property, so again, nobody cared, nobody gave me crap. And again,
you weren't sneaking in and like
I wasn't sneaking in. I had to show security my badge, like clearly people knew I was there.
Right.
And the only thing was like, I had to make sure I wasn't taking up an edit bay that needed to be used, and I purposely went at very late at night so that I would make sure that, because like we kind of run on a skeleton crew at CNN when it's the middle of the night in Atlanta. Abu Dhabi and London, I think, have more robust crews during their daytime hours, but during nighttime hours, we're kind of more skeleton crewy.
Okay.
So it's kind of easier to find an edit bay there, and grab one and just go off and capture into the night, and that took forever. And then so we had those, and Brady, with his wonderful encoding magic, deinterlaced them properly and upscaled them for us to HD. Specifically for Toonami, so that William Street would have a proper 1080i version for broadcast. That's up to Adult Swim if they want to air that, but they have that now. So that is.
Oh, that's really good to hear.
So
yeah,
they will have the remastered version if they want it. Like, that's up to them if they ever want to air it again. But they are going to have it properly now. So we did it that way, and but you guys will not see the upscaled version because this is a DVD, so
right,
you guys will be having it in glorious anamorphic widescreen standard def. So that's kind of the whole messy process of that remaster. And after that, it was pretty easy to just add the borders and retime certain things. We had to sync it up to the 5.1 audio from the DVDs. We literally ripped those and used that as our guide, and we are ripping those and using those again because we don't. We have all the original audio elements, but we don't. That project file is really disorganized, and it's kind of impossible to put it back together because all the plugins are kind of gone, and we're using a very new version of Pro Tools. So putting it back together is going to be way too time-consuming. We'd never make it in time. So we're just using the DVD audio because it's probably not going to sound better.
Right.
However, because the tapes have uncompressed audio, we are going to be redoing the stereo mixes, and those are going to be at a little bit of a higher bit rate as well. So better audio and better video, and same 5.1.
Yeah.
Believe me, we tried. We tried to go back to the original elements. Brent Busby, who is the sound mixer currently on Toonami and the sound mixer of IGPX, he gave me literally a big old hard drive of everything from IGPX, and there's some gold in there.
Really?
There's some awesome stuff that I have found that I'm keeping, and it's awesome. And I've actually used some of it in promotional materials because we literally have like those splits of everything. So I have like Takashi talking and or like different takes of Haley Joel Osment saying stuff as Takashi and bloopers and outtakes. And I'm keeping a lot of that stuff for myself, but like when I'm cutting trailers now, it's really easy to just grab the voice clip that I need and stick it in the trailer and not worry about the music in the background.
That's awesome.
So,
Like they had some bloopers in the IGPX Mega Mix.
yeah,
But
I have all those. Have that whole thing.
oh, awesome. Yeah.
And basically, so going through that drive, to bring it back to the 5.1 mixes, I have Pro Tools myself, and I dabble a little bit in audio mixing. I even bought a 5.1 setup so I can monitor this properly. And we tried to go back through these and put it back together, but it's not possible. I'm not skilled enough, frankly. And Brent probably is skilled enough, but he doesn't have the time. And I can't ask him to do that for free.
Yeah.
So we were just pulling them from the DVD because that's all we got.
Yeah, and that harkens back to, for me, one of my complaints for the Toonami second season was that the mix for the 5.1, you couldn't really hear too much of the rear. So I'm wondering what you know about that and what you can say about that for the second season Toonami episodes. It seemed like the rear channels were not very clear,
Right.
in that DVD pack.
Right. I remember this complaint, and we are literally using the same tracks, unfortunately, because I knew about those complaints and I wanted to go back and fix them, but there's kind of no winning that one. So again, I tried to go back to the original elements. It's not possible to put that stuff back together. There was a lot of plugins that were used that maybe don't exist anymore, and trying to track them all down is not feasible because they don't work with my version of Pro Tools.
Okay.
And then as for going back and ripping them, I was very like, oh my God, are we gonna get complaints about this? And I went back and I heard the DVD mixes, and I will say that there is audio coming out of those channels. And part of me really wanted to raise those up myself and re-encode that, but then we would degrade the audio quality doing that.
Right.
So there's no winning that one. The show is just too old, and it's not economically feasible, and it's not feasible on a timeline to go back and remix the show. So we had to just kind of let that one go. I will say that when I heard it on my 5.1 setup, I heard those channels very clearly, and they weren't as pronounced as season 1 or the uncut version, but I did hear them. They are there. So I would say to anybody, if you have a 5.1 receiver and you think the audio channels on the back are a little low, maybe raise them up a bit on your receiver. You can't, I mean, my crappy receiver from 20 freaking years ago can do it. Not 20, but some odd years ago. It's very old. Can do it. I'm sure your high-end receiver that you all have can do it very well as well.
That's good wisdom, because I wouldn't think to do that, but now I'm going to consider doing that. I actually don't have the mix, or not the mix. I don't have the surround sound system with me now in Japan, but definitely if I can go back to that, I'd like to see about that. So I'm glad that there are elements in the back. I wasn't sure if they accidentally put the 2.0,
Honestly,
mix
like,
yeah.
Brent, we talked about the 5.1 mixes extensively. I spoke with Brent and Jason about them, and they frankly, they kind of made it seem like they didn't even do those. It might have been Bandai who did those. I think Brent did do them, but like Brent is very. I've been in Brent's mixing studio, and he mostly mixes in stereo. He does have a 5.1 setup now. I don't think he had one back then, but he mostly mixes in stereo. And I think back then, if he did do the mix, he was probably guessing a little bit because he probably couldn't hear those back channels. So really, the stereo version is probably going to be better anyways, because that's the way it's supposed to be heard. That's the way they kind of designed it for. That being said, I like those 5.1 mixes. I think personally they sound great, even season 2. Even if the lower channels are a little not as pronounced, that it's a very front heavy show anyways. There's not really much going on in the background. So
yeah,
it's mostly just ambiance and that's basically it. So you're not missing much, season 2 5.1 fans. I promise you, I've gone over every inch of the show. You're not missing much.
The original Japanese mixes appeared to have the 5.1, and I also have the Japanese DVDs as well.
Yep. Yep.
So
We have those.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's been remained. That's good to hear. Yeah.
Um,
It's yeah.
so because they were on the Bandai ones, the U.S. Bandai ones, I should say, here as well, but we're not using the U.S. ones. We're using the Japanese ones actually, because they had, as you probably know, they have the English and the Japanese 5.1 as well, and we are using the Japanese video. We are not using the American version of that. So like when you see the uncut version for the first time in the U.S., we're going to be seeing the Japanese kanji on the screen, or katakana. I don't know what language. I don't know what writing language is in. I'm sure someone's going to yell at me and be like, "That's katakana." I don't know which one it is. So you're going to be seeing the opening Japanese credits, and we're going to be putting in the title cards, and for the first time ever, we're going to be putting in the next episode previews, which have never been on the American DVDs. So since the Japanese DVDs already have all that junk, we pulled those so that they would sync much easier with our 5.1 tracks, or sorry, with our video. So they sync perfectly now.
Okay. We will be experiencing basically the Japanese DVD cuts as the uncut.
Because the Bandai version here in the U.S., not that they cut anything out, like they're just very minor changes. They translated the credits, which is fine and dandy. That's cool. I don't mind that at all. I prefer that personally, but
Right.
But we thought, we know that fans typically like the Japanese credits for whatever reason, so we have used those, and frankly, we just have them in a better quality than we do the English ones. So they're probably going to be a lot easier to encode for us. And then they also come with the title cards, which are not on the U.S. Bandai release. For those of you that don't know, in the Japanese version / uncut English version, there's a right after the intro, the title card for the episode comes up. So like Time to Shine, episode 1. There's no audio underneath it, but it's like a little card with the English and the Japanese title of the episode there, and then it goes to the episode. That's not on the US DVD. That's now on ours. That's on our Discotek US DVD. And at the end of the credits, there's the next episode preview, and we now have that was never dubbed, so we don't. That's not in English, but we have newly translated those by someone who I think is one of the best translators in the business, and I'm not just saying that because he's my friend.
Oh.
I think he's an amazing translator. His name is Stephen Paul. He's a translator for Weekly Shonen Jump, specifically on One Piece. I'm sure he does other stuff on Weekly Shonen Jump. I just don't want to say which ones because I'm not sure, but I know for sure he is the translator on One Piece, and he's worked on other stuff like I believe Inuyasha Yaki by the Gantz creator. So he's doing that manga and a couple of other stuff. He's frankly one of the best translators in the business. I'm so happy he worked on this release.
I'm really happy to hear that we'll be able to get those with subs because I have those DVDs as well, and I there's no subs for them, so I it's so short that I can kind of just guess what they're saying, but it's kind of cool. Like here, oh, it's Liz talking now. Oh, it's Amy.
Yeah.
So
one of the cool things is like he was very close. He was very, very, very close because I had to go back and adapt that a little bit to make sure that we're using the correct terminology. So like make sure that everybody's kind of in character. And luckily he basically nailed the spirit of it. There were very few changes I had to make to the subtitle script, so that it would be more in line with what the official translations are. So yeah, he was basically dead on. And I just came in and cleaned it up. That's it.
So, Jose, there's a specific question that you might know about that I wanted to ask. We're talking about like the video elements. The original uncut versions had different frame rates than the Toonami version for some scenes, and one example that I was thinking about was episode 24. They had a pan after the race was finished, and it seemed like it was just a side pan for like 5 seconds. It seemed like it was pretty smooth on the uncut version, but maybe a little bit laggy, and that probably has something to do with interlacing. So do you know about how the frame rates were handled in this release of the project?
I mean, I will say on our end, we left everything at 30. All the materials we received are at 30. We left them at 30. We didn't touch a thing. As for how they are presented to us, we know that IGPX seems to have been animated at 24.
Okay.
And there are definitely animated segments that are. I think most of the 2D stuff is probably at 24 frames a second, but some of that CG stuff, not all of it, is at 30. And in the Toonami version, the borders and graphics and stuff that they added are at 30 as well. So on our end, we're just leaving everything at 30. We didn't. All the materials we see from Japan and from William Street, they're all at 30. We kept it at 30. We didn't want to mess with it.
Okay, it sounds like in that case
we're just leaving. We're just changing it to progressive now, so it will not be interlaced anymore.
Okay, it sounds like it was a minor thing, and I think people will not. The average consumer is probably not going to notice it, so that won't be a big deal. But it sounds like if you're keeping it at 30, it sounds like it's going to be about what I was hoping for, this smoothness on the original.
Unless we could go back to the original elements, which we don't have, I couldn't tell you for sure. I wish we could go back to the original elements. They are at, I'm assuming, Production I.G, or they're at Sony PCL. I'm not sure. And go back and look at those HD masters and get this thing right, but we don't have access to those.
Right. Well, and for the listeners, like,
we tried, by the way. We really tried.
Oh yeah, and and we had a separate discussion once. I think we were talking about how, well, you're mentioning this on the Toonami Faithful. Like, if we could just send someone to IG and knock on their door and get the HD.
I considered flying over. To do it.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking about doing it, but not for this release. I just don't know. Basically, well,
this is for DVDs anyway, so I think it would
be
a good idea.
This is for DVD anyways,
ever...
but like, man, if we could get our hands on those HD masters, the DVD would probably look better, frankly, because we'd be working from a higher quality source, and then we'd, downscale from there, and of course we'd probably be able to do a Blu-ray. But the thing is, with the HD masters, is Bandai has no idea this is an HD show. They basically told our licensor, Discotek, or our licensor, one of those. Bandai told Discotek straight that the show is an SD, which we know that's not true.
Right.
Multiple people from Production I.G and, of course, Jason himself have told me this show's in HD. We made it in HD. But maybe they don't have it edited together in HD. Maybe they don't have all the elements. I don't know. I know that the Toonami version is solely in SD technically, but so to get the Toonami version in HD with the original HD masters, we would have to go back and re-edit the show, which, as we've said before, is a very difficult proposition. But I would be game to do it if I had the time. But yeah, that would take a while, and that would take a lot of probably just like, hey, could you please redo this? And unfortunately, IGPX just isn't that popular in Japan or the US to kind of justify that.
Yeah.
Believe me, if I had the money to blow, I would totally go over there and be like, hey, can we get these? I'll do it for you. It would probably have to be Jason more than anybody. Like, I could go over there and like flash my Turner badge. But I don't think they'd let me in the building or anything. They'd be like, "Who the hell are you?" I'd be like, I basically like I would have to get in contact with some people I know at Production I.G or at Bandai Visual, and try to be like, "Hey, could you vouch for me?" Or maybe get Jason to vouch for me and fly over there. But yeah, I don't think I'd be able to walk in the front door of Production I.G.
Right. Yeah. So, anyways, getting back to a few things.
Yeah, we really got pie in the sky there with like, hey, we wish we could do this in HD, but we can't.
Yeah, and there's always that looming like, will there ever be a Blu-ray release? And we don't have to like question that now. Like we can all because the fact that this is getting re-released at all, I think most fans are just excited and appreciative of that.
I mean, the
So
way it would happen, I mean, the way it would probably have to happen is Japan has to do a Blu-ray, not just us. Japan has to do
oh,
it.
absolutely,
I
absolutely.
don't think they would allow us to have. There's very few cases where a licensor would probably allow a Blu-ray release of a previous show to be released in the United States before Japan. There's probably very, very, very few exceptions to that. Like Vampire Hunter D
Yeah.
got released here on Blu-ray first before it did in Japan. Another Discotek release, free plug.
Yeah. No, I remember when Ghost in the Shell came out on Blu-ray in Japan. Is that I'm talking about the
Yeah.
series. Do you actually know if is that true in America as well now, the series?
Well, the Blu-rays haven't come out here.
Okay.
They are. I should know. I have the Japanese Blu-rays because I'm stupid and obsessed with Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
I have those Japanese Blu-rays, and I know Manga Entertainment technically has the rights. They just got around to releasing the Ghost in the Shell movie, like last year for the 25th anniversary of the manga. And
Oh.
yeah, man, they were really late on that one. But I think it's mostly because I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn here. I might be, but I think mostly because Bandai or is just saying no because those sets cost like $400 in Japan,
Yeah.
and they probably have a very big fear of reverse importation. So I don't know because the manga probably couldn't sell those for $400. You know, they would have to sell them for
Yeah.
something a lot cheaper. And
They can't.
manga's
Yeah.
not really the same company they once were. They are
Yeah.
a little bit of a, at least here in the U.S., they're a little bit of like just a label for stars. So
Yeah. And so I mean briefly to speak on that, like the Japanese people were shocked when I was telling them like the Japanese DVDs were originally released for I want to say it was like 7,500 yen on average, and that's like even back then with the exchange rate, that's still like like 50, 60 bucks approaching almost $70 US dollars like with tax and
yeah,
everything. And that's just absolute and we're talking 3 episodes per disc, and that's actually why I didn't get it until, this last couple of years because I just like no, like Japan has this way of they know their fan base and they know that enough people are going to buy it at that price because I guess there's enough people who will be willing to spend that much. So absolutely you get back to it. It's like they would probably release a Blu-ray for IGPX, or rather if they did they'd have to sell it at a certain price, and there's no way they'd be able to do that here, but that's a whole other conversation.
yeah.
So
Basically,
anyways.
like if they were to ever release it in Japan, the likeliness of us getting one over here, because frankly, I think it is more popular over here in the United States than it was in Japan. Um,
Yeah.
I think we'd probably be able to get it. But that's a lot of hypothetical talk. So
Exactly. So we'll have to just hope and wait that somehow happens, and you never
I mean,
know.
frankly,
Meaning,
you know what?
I've seen weird
Not
things.
to try to sell more DVDs here, but I think the best way to kind of show Japan that this show is popular enough for a Blu-ray release, at least here in the United States, if they never do one in Japan, is to buy this DVD. If we sell a bunch of these, if we do maybe above expectations, we can probably go to Production I.G or Bandai Visual or whoever we need to talk to with like bigger guns and say, look, we sold this many, we sold above expectations, people are still wanting this release. Can we maybe do the Blu-ray? So. And that I think I've seen that happen for a couple of shows where they're like, look, we've sold this show is clearly popular over here. Can we get these extended rights?
Right.
So, you know,
I'm
vote with your
totally okay
wallet.
with yeah, yeah. I'm totally okay with pitching this DVD box set even more. Because yeah, just the off chance that we could even get a Blu-ray would be awesome, as all of us would
There's
agree.
always a
So
chance,
yeah,
guys.
yeah. And so okay, so anyways, getting back to that, I'm curious what bonus feature that you're most excited about. I know you guys are including all of the stuff from Bandai. Is there anything from that slash the new bonus content that you're really excited for people to be able to experience?
The new stuff, I think the interviews are going to be really cool. Those were kind of fun to do, and I think they're really informative. We sat with Jason for like half an hour, and he just rattled on about IGPX, and we got to sit with Sarah Hardy, who was who helped with the scoring and the edit on the Toonami version. She provides a very different insights into the show, and her interview is not as long, but like I think she has a very interesting perspective overall, and just like it's a really cool interview. And the commentaries I think are really cool, because Jason does 2 commentaries, and it's really fun to hear him say, like, because we also are including the previous commentaries from the Bondi set. We're including all of those, so it's kind of fun to hear him like 10 years before, 10 years later on a and it's like, it's kind of funny because he hasn't seen the show, and he says so on the commentary, so commentary spoilers. He hasn't seen the show like maybe in 3 to 4 years, when his fiance, now his wife, wanted to watch it, and he checked it out with her. That was kind of like the last time he watched it. So it was kind of like fun seeing him watch a couple of episodes, and go down memory lane and comment on it. I think I have some pretty cool stuff to say as well. I have my own commentaries for episodes 1 and 2. And, I think those are cool. They're not as cool as Jason's, but I'm like, hey, you learn stuff.
Yeah, and I'm asking about that. Like, I'm wondering, did you feel like, because I've always like I don't know, this is kind of weird. I've always in my mind like wanted to sort of like, not even for IGPX specifically, just in general, like, oh, I wonder what I would have said if I was a director, because like, oh, there's a certain scene that like I watch audio commentaries for DVDs a lot, and I'm like, oh, I really want them to talk about my favorite scene, but they got on some other tangent, and they just let that 1 minute scene go by, and because they're still on this other tangent from something else. So, anyways, I'm kind of curious for you when you were recording these, was there anything you were like, I have to talk about this exact scene in episode 2, no matter what I'm talking about before we lead into this scene, I have to talk about this.
A little bit.
I'm wondering, like,
a little bit actually, I think, but the problem is the episode. You'd be surprised, man, like how fast these episodes go. You're like, oh, I got plenty of time to talk about this, and you're like, oh crap, no, I don't.
Yeah,
because like it's playing the whole time, and it's very kind of difficult, like because I know episodes 1 and 2, I think I did a pretty good job of talking about the main things I wanted to talk about, but I know for sure I could have gone on for much longer, but I also didn't want to take up Brent's time. Which, by the way, we recorded those commentaries at William Street, so that was kind of cool.
oh, that's cool. Yeah, yeah. And then the last major question I wanted to ask was simply, what was your favorite part about working on the project? I know you're kind of just got off of it, and you're probably want to, like, in your mind, want to mentally and physically relax, but no, I mean, other than that, I mean, what was your favorite part about working on it?
Well, I mean, technically, I'm still working on it because I'm still working on promoting it and whatnot. But so it's not quite over. But I think I do have a couple of favorite moments that I can talk about. I know that for sure when I got the yes from Discotek, that was a big moment where I was like, because I didn't think they were going to say yes to let's make the Toonami version 16:9. I thought they were going to be like, no, we're just going to use the video we have. Which, by the way, I will say, Discotek always had the intention of putting out the series with the uncut and the Toonami version. That was the intention from day one. That is not something I brought in.
Right. I think they said that on their original.
No, they didn't
Facebook
say it on their
post as
Facebook.
well. Oh, they didn't.
No, they didn't.
Okay.
But I know that for sure because I talked to Selby about this. That was always the plan. That was 100% the plan, no matter what. It was when I got involved that this got, I think, more complicated than they intended.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they would have shut me down if this had cost a lot of money. Luckily, it didn't, because I worked for free, and we were able to do a lot of things, a lot of really typically expensive things for no money. So I thank Discotek for giving us the time to do it and do this release justice. The other thing is when we were we were getting close to the announcement, because at that point I'd been working on it for like 2 months. Um, at MomoCon, that Toonami panel, the trailer I cut together. I think I might have told you this story. So, I came up with the idea of promoting, of like telling people like, hey, we're working on IGPX at MomoCon, because that's Toonami's big panel. So I was like, I would love to put out a thing. That would be cool. Like, do a little trailer. And Jason was like, yeah, that's totally cool idea. Let's do that. But it has to be up to Toonami standards. And I was like, bring it. Because like, I have been preparing my whole life to do a trailer for Toonami. And
Yeah.
and that's not entirely untrue, because like when I was a kid, I would watch those Toonami commercials and those Toonami bumps and music videos and whatnot, and just be like, whatever that job is, I want to do that. And that's kind of what led me down the path indirectly into being an editor, which is what I do
Right.
today. I'm a video editor professionally by trade. And so the fact that, I got to do a trailer for Toonami, and for a show I really love, was a big deal. And to premiere it in front of a huge crowd of people, and like nobody knew that I was working on this. Nobody had any idea. That was a very
Yeah.
tight-lipped secret that only a few friends knew about. And just seeing
Yeah.
Twitter blow up, like, wait, dude, are you working? You're working on this? Like, what? What's going on? What's happening? And I was like, yeah, man, I'm working on it, and it's a pretty big deal. And it was so that was a pretty
Yeah.
big moment for me. I think also the Discotek panel at Otakon, that was my first ever real industry panel that I got to be a presenter at. And even though I was quiet for most of it, it was cool. I had a lot of fun doing it, meeting Mike Toole and Brady Hartle, who are awesome people and great to work with. And people seemed to eat up the presentation overall. So it was a fun time, man. I had a great time doing that one. As for working on the actual release, I think one of my favorite things, the feature that I think the thing that's gonna be most popular with everybody is the original IGPX pilot. Finding those elements and putting that back together, because we found the audio and we found certain video elements, but we didn't have everything, so we had to go. That's just not going to look like the greatest thing in the world. I'm just letting you guys know right now. The original uncut Japanese, uncut English versions of those, we are porting those from the DVD, so those are going to look exactly the same. But the ones that we did for the original broadcast version, the one with the Toonami music that you all in the United States watched and know and love, that one, I had to go back and re-edit that using the anamorphic widescreen video from the uncut version, because we just didn't have those elements. I don't know where they are. We looked, we asked. The fact that we have the audio from it is kind of like amazing.
Yeah, it seems like I've seen like bad versions of it on like various video websites, but yeah, that's obviously not going to be a DVD quality standard. So
yeah, I've seen a couple of people rip the DVDs as well and redo it, and they come
really?
close. They come close to what we've done, but I know that ours is going to look better because we were able to find some elements that they didn't have. There are a couple of visual edits in both in the IGPX uncut version, and a couple in the actual episodes. There are a couple of visual edits that we had to make because they didn't sync up, or they weren't true to what we had. So those are, if people spot those, that'll be pretty cool if people actually spot them. Because those are also in the actual, like the full series. They're in the IGPX full television show as well. We had to make a couple of visual edits. If people find them, I'd be very surprised, because we tried very hard to hide them and make sure that they matched what we had.
makes me wonder if like we should not seriously, but like just see if there's like how many weeks, how many days, how many minutes will it take for someone out there is gonna be like looking, like I'm looking at every frame. I'm gonna find no.
Oh man, if you
So
find them, you need to go find a hobby.
yeah, and I want to clarify. That reminds me from earlier though. I want to clarify for the fans, for the listeners, I should say. You heard Jose say a few 10 minutes ago or so that Jason himself has not seen this series for a few years, and I don't know if listeners know that I generally watch IGPX every year, but I have to say I haven't been as faithful. I don't think I've seen it this year yet. I think I saw
Because
it
you're
like
waiting for the
about a
DVD,
year.
man.
That's actually pretty much what's happening. I'm like, no joke. That's kind of what's happening. So that's why we should all anticipate the DVD and go out and buy it. And there's my shameless plug for that. So yeah, no, we're talking about it, so I can talk all I want about you guys buying the
Yeah,
DVD.
please
And,
buy
and
it.
as you said before, yeah, and as you said before, like if there's an off chance that the sales help us to get to the the Blu-ray release, that's
Because if we
awesome.
get that
So
Blu-ray, that's it for IGPX. Like we can,
that's
that's it. We can't make it look better. Like that is the pinnacle. Uh,
So, yeah, once we've hit the Blu-ray release, we just have to wait for M. Night Shyamalan to come and make a movie about it,
no,
and
no,
then all don't go
we're
watch it.
done.
So,
We're done, man.
so I
If
had to put
if
that
we
in.
get a
Okay.
Blu-ray, we're done after that.
There's always this off chance in my mind that like some guy's gonna come down and be like, "Hey, I want to make a movie about." I don't know, like some
That's never gonna
Hollywood. I
happen.
don't
They're
know.
gonna be like, they're gonna look at the sales numbers and be like, no,
It's like this is too obscure
no.
now. Yeah, yeah.
Besides, like
So
live action
anyways,
anime, it just doesn't really happen these days. I know they made the last Airbender, which technically is an anime, um, but like I don't know.
yeah.
Other than like Speed Racer, there's not really much anime being made in live action. I know they're talking about Ghost in the Shell, but until I see it, I don't think it's happening. They keep talking
That's
about
yeah.
Akira again. Same thing. They've been trying to get that off the ground for years, and again, same goes for Robotech, which they've been trying to make forever, and Evangelion, and wow, we can rattle off a whole list of really popular anime that they've been trying to make movies of, and it just hasn't happened.
Yeah, yeah, it's so true. So just to clarify, one more time for the listeners about the pilot, because I've had a few emails about that as well. So it again, so is the original? I'll let you say it. So what are the cuts
So,
that are going to be on for the pilot?
yeah, man, if you thought the show itself was complicated, the pilot's really complicated too. So there are four versions of it. There is the original Japanese version, the one that I don't know if this ever aired in Japan, but the one they made in Japan with the Japanese voice actors and whatnot. Then there's an English dub of that version, with the Japanese music, which is crappy music.
Yeah,
It's very temp.
it's the same
It's
song
the
five
same
times.
song 5 times. Literally, it's the same song 5 times. It's very like tempo, like techno, like
Weird.
weird crap. Like they just clearly threw it together. So it's
Yeah,
the English dub of that, and then there's the movie cut, which was on the DVD on the previous Bondi set. That I think is just like a pilot that Cartoon Network did to like present to the higher ups and be like, hey, we want to make this show. And that's what led to IGPX, the full television series eventually. So it's basically just like a movie version of those 5 episodes as like one 20-minute long thing. It actually cuts out one of the subplots, with like Meto
yeah,
and that whole thing. The whole gambling subplot, they basically took that out. And then there's the
yeah. I noticed that. I was very upset. Not, I shouldn't say very upset, but I was just disheartened. Like, oh, I kind of like that in the
I
original.
didn't that plotline doesn't go anywhere. Like I've watched that a couple of times and I'm like, that plotline doesn't really go anywhere. It just kind of ends. He
That-
has a schizophrenic moment in the mirror, and then like
it's-
and then like he like makes money and then takes her out to dinner. That's the whole thing. That's his whole subplot. I never understood what the point of him was. I'm kind of glad they cut him out.
Well, if only to get the character development. From my perspective, I kind of liked that. But that being said, nonetheless, you are still including the original Toonami
So yeah, that's
cut.
the final one, which has never been on DVD before. The original Toonami broadcast version, that will be on the DVD. We are bringing that one over. It's we don't have all the elements for them, for that, because we don't know where those tapes are. They are in a landfill in Atlanta somewhere because we don't have them. I asked, I looked, couldn't find them.
Yeah.
But we did have the original audio thanks to Brent. He still had all of the original audio elements for that, and that was pretty easy to rebuild. And So we took certain video elements because some of that was still around. We had some of that stuff still around. We were able to rebuild it. We did have to do some visual edits so that it would match what the Toonami version was, and rebuild it to what it's supposed to look like. But yeah, that is, as far as I can tell, unless I missed something, it is frame by frame visually the same exact thing as what the Toonami, as the one you saw on television, with one minor addition, where I put, because we're making it 16 by 9 widescreen, which technically it was 4 by 3 on TV. We're making it 16 by 9 on widescreen, anamorphic this time, not letterboxed. At the end credits, those are in 4 by 3, so we put like little IGPX borders on the side, which are just the pilot logo spinning over and over again. It's really dumb. But I'm like, I really felt stupid just having black bars there. So I was like, no, I'm going to put something stupid on the sides and just leave it at that.
Yeah, better than nothing probably. So in the end.
Yeah.
So so wrapping up a little bit, is there any last thoughts about the project as a whole, or anything else you'd like to comment on?
I mean, look, I know a lot of people in the anime industry here in the domestic anime industry, and I have my contacts over in the Japanese anime industry. And I will say we all do this out of love. Like everybody who works in the media industry in general, we do it because we love it. You know, this is not really a job that you do at all if you don't love it, because we could probably making a lot more money elsewhere doing something we hate. But with this release in particular, this is one that absolutely from the bottom of my heart is coming from a very deep place of love. I love this show. I think this show had a very profound impact on me. I think I watched it at the right age. I watched it, 10 years ago, and 10 years later, I know the people who worked on it, which is freaking crazy.
Yeah.
I'm Johnny Lipkin personified.
Yes. Yeah.
Except I wasn't as young as him when I saw this. But I love this show, and this release is a absolute huge labor of love from all of us at Turner Broadcasting, everybody involved, from Jason to myself and Brent, and everybody was just like very willing to give their time and trust me, someone who is an outsider, trust me with this show, and put together the best release possible. And Discotek being very open and very trusting and very giving, frankly, just like they didn't. This is the first project where I've worked on where they kind of didn't say no to a lot of stuff. Like normally when you work on projects, you're used to hearing the word no a lot, which is fine, because if we heard yes to everything, we'd make Jupiter Ascending probably. And by the way, I make fun of that movie with love because I love that movie.
Okay. Never seen it, but
it was a box office bomb and it cost a lot of money.
yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah.
This luckily did not cost a lot of money, and they said yes to everything anyways, so that was good. And this show, again, it comes from a place of love. I said I would work on it for free, and damn it, I'm eating my words. I worked on this thing for I don't know, since March, for free. So it's been a bumpy ride. I have a lot more respect into making DVDs now, because man, it's hard.
Yeah.
But please buy this one if you're a fan of the show, man, because I think we've put together the best release in the world. I don't think you're going to see a better release in Japan, in America, or sorry, well, if you're in America, this is the one to get. But you're not going to see a better release outside of what we have done. I think we have put together absolutely the most definitive package so far of IGPX for the 5 people that really gave a crap about this show.
And I'm one of them, and for me, like, alone to get this release is just absolutely incredible. I mean, we were always like, I got so many. literally for years, and we're approaching like a decade now. People were like, just after the Bandai releases were kind of had their stride and hit their stride, people were always asking me like, "Oh, where can I get?" I think it was statistically volume 5 or 6. One of those two was always the one. People were like, "I can't get that one," and I'm like, "I know, I know. I wish I could help you, but I don't have any extra copies of any of that." So even just that alone, for fans to be able to get their hands on this, for some people they could never get, and even season 2 box set, especially, and I think both of them now. Of the Toonami versions were just so hard to get. So even for that alone, I hope people will see this as this is your next chance, and we don't. It might have a limited run. Is that fair to say?
Discotek typically doesn't do very wide print runs on anything. So
Right.
if I was anybody, I would just pick it up. I would pre-order it and get it as fast as possible, because
Yeah.
Discotek releases, not that they go out print like super fast, but like I know that they don't print a lot of anything. So if you want it, just buy it.
Yeah, and I understand from the company's perspective why that is the case.
Yeah,
So
the
definitely,
economic perspective is why. Like, it's just like,
yeah,
yeah, we know these shows don't sell a lot, so we're not going to print a lot of them. So if you want it, get it.
yeah.
Don't end up being 5 years from now where season 2 of that Bondi DVD crap, where you're just like, oh man, this thing's $300. Buy it now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Um, no, and I'm gonna get an email 5 years from now like, oh, do you have any extra copies of that? Maybe I'm just gonna buy a couple extra because I swear I'm gonna get a few emails. Like, I know, and people just find this show, and I think people who find this show, they realize this is a great show, and I know it had some Twitter backlash when it got back on Toonami, but I think for
Twitter
what this show
backlash
was
is against
doing,
everything.
there you go.
I'm guilty of
Exactly.
doing it too.
Yeah.
Not against
I think
IGPX for worse shows.
No, yeah, yeah. But as we both agree as big fans, like for what the show is doing, it's like, my gosh, it's like this was so well realized. And I mean, one thing I've always wanted to ask you is like, I know you mentioned in Toonami Faithful podcast how episode 2 is your favorite episode, and I presume in the commentary you'll go more into that. I'm curious if there's any other episodes that you would say are in your like top 3 or so.
I think my favorite part of the show overall, because it's not an episode, my favorite part overall is the season finale, which is episodes 12 and 13. I think that's my favorite part of the show. The fight between Velstein and Satomi. I think that is the best part of the series. I like the last fight between Velstein and Satomi. I also like the one where Andre takes over as well. I think those are really high points in the series.
Yeah.
Specifically, Andre in the Satomi Velstein battle. The Skylark one, I like that one, but for different reasons. And I don't like it as much as like the Velstein one is just super funny to me. Skylark's nowhere near as funny. And then Jason has said it's his favorite episode. Episode 23, I think, is also a really good one, even though it's nothing but backstory. And I also like.
Oh, sorry. Which episode was Jason's favorite?
Episode 23. He said it was his favorite once.
Interesting.
And then on the commentary, he comments that he doesn't remember saying that, but he's like, whatever.
I'll accept it. Yeah.
He's like, I'll believe Jose. He seems to know this show. I'm pretty sure he said it on Twitter once. Anyways.
Okay.
But yeah, it was it's the episode 23 is the one where Andre goes into his backstory in depth. And it's also the first part of Satomi versus Velstein, the final time. I also really like the series finale, but I don't know, man. To me, Velstein, I think, is just cool. Like, also, I have a really soft spot for the spoilers. I'm sorry, 10 years later, guys. I have a really soft spot for Liz and Takashi's moment at the very end. I have a really big soft spot for it because clearly those crazy kids are going to make it work.
They are, aren't they? And I feel like people always came back as well with emails like how a third season could go. And I always read that. And
I have my own ideas.
No, yeah. But I really feel like, and Jason was saying it too, I do really feel like the show had a very complete ending where Johnny's kind of helping them out, and
Yeah,
like
everything does come
now
full circle.
technology's progressed. Yeah, it really does, and I feel like um, it's kind of like as Jason said, you'd almost just go back and make a whole new series if you were ever gonna even think to do a season three,
Yeah,
because at that point you're probably not gonna get all the same actors, obviously. You hope to, of course, but probably not going to realistically.
I mean, you can't
So,
get Peter
but
back. Peter's not going to come back for that, unfortunately.
oh,
He
okay,
is retired, and he only does Optimus Prime now.
interesting. I didn't know
So
that. Okay.
he would not be back as narrator. They probably have to use Howard Parker, um, unless they had a huge budget for IGPX and they could be like, "Here's a lot of money. Do you want to come say some words?" Um,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
would be cool, but I don't think he's going to do that. The other thing,
Yeah.
I think just doing, I don't know, doing like a third season now, I think would be cool, but at the same time, I think I would want it to be a whole different generation, a whole different team, maybe a whole
Yeah.
different lineup, like, because like maybe everybody's older now. Like Haley Joel Osment is not, however old he
Yeah.
was when he did IGPX. He's maybe I think a
Yeah.
little older than me. I'm only like 26. He's probably like 28, 29.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And I don't sound the same. I'm sure he doesn't sound the same either.
Yeah. Yeah.
He probably sounds close enough. He still sounds very young. I heard him actually recently in an interview. He sounds very young, but like, you know, young enough to probably still play Sora, but Sora's going to have to be aged up a little bit, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It seems like, I mean, in the end, it seems like there's a certain legacy to IGPX that if you remade it, it would almost be its whole different thing. So as you just said, like maybe the best thing for that would be to have a whole new generation of pilots and maybe like kind of make references back to those like maybe it's like 2075 and man Team Satomi was just so inspirational and they had a great run for 10 years or whatever.
yeah, maybe
So,
what's his name? Takashi ends up becoming the Rocket and being the coach of this new team of
oh yeah, that would be
Team
interesting. Yeah.
Suzaku,
Yeah, yeah.
which would be a
Exactly.
very
Yeah.
cool reference. You hardcore
Yeah.
IGPX fans know what I'm talking about, all three of you.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And it's funny. The only thing I have not delved into is the video game, which I'm so ashamed, even as the website, this fan site
I
owner.
bought the video game
'Cause
and I don't have a PlayStation 2.
I know, right? I was gonna do it. Because I almost would have done it just to see the names of all the other teams from IG2 and IG3, which it sounds like they had all those names in that.
I wanted
So,
to do it because they had to replace a lot of the cast. So like I really wanted to hear Takashi being played by Joshua Seth again. Because
yeah.
for those of you that don't know, Joshua Seth actually was the original Takashi in the pilot. But he's back in the video game and he plays the Haley Joel Osment Takashi. So
Oh.
that's kind of funny.
Okay. I didn't know that. I just thought it was some random guy they had just hired for. Oh, that's really
Yeah,
funny.
I know.
Wow.
I thought that was really funny. I don't know about the rest of the cast. I really just want to play the game so I can go through the cast credits.
Yeah, yeah,
But the
exactly.
reason I bought it actually was because I wanted to see if there was any artwork, maybe in the instruction manual, that we could use for the release. And I also wanted to scan the cover. And I don't know if we are going to use it, so don't be like, oh hey, the video game artwork's showing up. I just scanned it and sent it over to Brady because Brady's the one doing the package design, not me.
Yeah. All of that kind of remind me of like, as fans, we all want more lore, and that was kind of why I wanted the game. And I'll say to the listeners, I was starting a project that I just literally had no good reason except that I was lazy and didn't
Yeah,
complete,
you
which was
jerk.
I know, right? So I'm glad someone was reading it. I almost need you guys as fans to keep emailing me about that and tell me that you want me to see more translations
Yeah,
of
please
that.
keep translating
The
that. I
yeah,
actually,
I
I
got
actually
to
used that,
afford
by the way.
them.
Thank you.
Oh, awesome to hear. Use that how?
I made reference. I didn't make reference directly to it in the commentary, but because of I don't want to spoil the commentary, but because of some information I read in your action reports, I was able to mention something in the commentary.
Oh, awesome. That's great. So, and that's a way that it's sort of extending the universe by just a little bit more because it's not a ton of stuff, but you'd be surprised what was in those reports, which is like, oh, that's like some stuff that I never would have known. Now it's like more clarified in those. So, if I get off my butt and get back to those, you guys can see more of that. And I haven't even read all of them myself, so I've only probably read the first season and just have to kind of get back
I've been
to
Yeah,
getting
because I have the Japanese DVDs too, and I've looked at them.
a huger version of that project would be almost to not obviously reprint, but just sort of recreate it more in a fancier kind of layout where it looks more like a brochure that you would almost
Yeah,
open kind of thing. But that's obviously I need to start with the actual translation first.
I think just the translations.
Um,
I don't think we can scan these. I don't want to get in trouble with Bondi.
yeah, that's basically why I haven't done it because I'm
I
sure if
have done scans, but so I can get the artwork out of it. That's it, which I'm allowed to do. That's okay. Because there's some little pieces of artwork here and there that are just in the booklet, and I also scan the DVD covers as well. So there's some covers that I haven't seen anywhere else. So yeah, hopefully we're going to be using some of those elements, but I don't know. We'll see.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think that's about it for the interview and for the questions. I want to thank you for joining me with that because I'm glad that you approached me with this because it's the same thing with Jason where I was like had to keep it's or same thing with you when you had to keep it under wraps. I was like, well, Jason contacted me, but I can't tell. I gotta like, except for a few close friends, I have to really keep this under until we get some dates officialized and all that. So I know how that feels like. But in any case, I appreciate that you approached me with this and that we could get this going. Hopefully, it answers more questions and clarifies a few things that
I
fans
think I may
were
just confuse more
asking.
people.
If you're like, what did you mean when you said about the technical and
Yeah.
the interlacing?
Sorry,
And like,
everybody.
well, hopefully it'll go well. And that's why there's Twitter. So,
Oh God.
oops, wait, there isn't
Actually, you
Twitter.
probably
I
should
lied.
follow me. If you do, if something was unclear, I will try to clear it up. Please tweet me a question. I don't mind answering them. I'm wary about like what I can and can't answer. So please understand if I can't answer something. Please tweet me at Jose_CNN. So feel free, man. Anytime. And that's a
Awesome.
general
Yes.
invitation to the rest of you in the audience. Thank you for listening to this. Please buy this release. It comes out later this year. So yeah, please do that. Thank you.
Yes, everyone get this for everyone everywhere.
Not
Buy
November.
this so
I
we
can
can
say
get.
not November.
Yes.
We will not be
Okay.
making our tentative date of November. So that kind of leaves off 1 month. But just for my own safety, I won't say for sure. But November's not likely. Sorry.
We'll hope for a this year release, and we'll all be looking forward to it for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.